Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on The Last Word. My name is Sophia Wanuna. The just concluded Rio Olympics in Brazil saw Kenya stage her best performance yet at the Games, bringing home 6 gold medals, 6 silver, and 1 bronze medal. The sportsmen and women doing an excellent job, as always, to put Kenya on the map, emerging top in Africa and second in the world in the track and field events. Of course, it wasn't all rosy. Numerous issues around the management of the Team Kenya have arisen since. What's even more disturbing is what is largely seen as a case of the same script, different cast, and as far as perennial challenges Kenya's sportsmen and women face, with seemingly, again, no lessons being learned with each passing international outing. So in our Twitter poll question tonight, as we focus on the past Rio Games, we are asking you, following the mishaps that were witnessed, should the Kipchoge Keino-led National Olympic Committee of Kenya be disbanded? Do you think the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, that's NOC, be disbanded? Many of you have already started tweeting in at KTN News, at Sophia Wanuna as well. Let us know what your thoughts are. And of course, there are those who say some of that fury that we witnessed and the public outrage is usually just temporarily up until the games are done, and then everybody forgets, and it's up to the next year, or rather the next Olympics after 4 years, that again you remember the same issues you dealt with the last time around. So what is that solution going forward you think should be implemented to ensure we do not see a repeat of the circus that the country was treated to? Tweet us. But of course, as always, before we get into the show and I introduce my guest to you tonight, let's give you a quick recap of our top stories tonight. We begin with the Kenyan Opposition Coalition Court has now endorsed the report by the Parliamentary Joint Select Committee on electoral reforms without any amendments. Now, however, during a parliamentary group meeting, co-chaired by the three principals, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Moses Wetangula, Senator James Orengo was taken to task to explain why the court team in the Select Committee ceded ground on some sticky points that appeared to give Jubilee the advantage. Orengo had to explain why his team allowed a clause that will see the president choose 7 IEBC commissioners from a list of 11 nominees.
We have been fully briefed, and our PG, which has just left here, has all passed a resolution that they are going to support this report in Parliament as is, without an amendment of a comma or a full stop, because it is a product of negotiations.
It is everybody's hope, every Kenyan's hope, that we will, through this process, be saying goodbye to the culture of stolen elections.
Having understood it fully and appreciated the content, hereby signify and pronounce my total and unequivocal support of the outcome of the mediated process on the reform of the IEBC.
The Judicial Service Commission has today threatened to make public the private details of applicants not shortlisted for the final batch of qualifiers for the job of Chief Justice. JSC made their position clear following pressure mounted by civil society groups to come clean on the final process. Now, the groups have sued the Judicial Service Commission to stop the ongoing recruitment of the CJ and Deputy Chief Justice, as well as a Supreme Court judge. Appearing before High Court Judge George Odunga in Mombasa, JSC said it will bear the details, but only if the rejected applicants swear affidavits waiving their rights to privacy. The civil rights groups claim the process adopted shortlist candidates for interviews was opaque as well as illegal. Now, it was an emotional reunion for 2-year-old Kenyan baby Caitlin Amanda Owino and her family after she was rescued by officers from Uganda police in Busia. Caitlin had gone missing on Wednesday last week after the Ugandan-born household packed her bags and disappeared with her from Nairobi's Mara Daima estate with the help of relatives and friends and both Kenyan and Ugandan authorities. The family has been searching for the girl abruptly, of course, and have been rooted here in Nairobi.
Tulipopatiwa hiyo waarifa na hiyo ujumbe, ilibidi askari wafanye kazi usiku na mchana katika ile hali ya upelelezi ya hapa na pale ndio tulipopata hii ujumbe, na tumethibitisha ya kwamba mtoto ni wa huyu mama na mtoto mwenyewe ako kwa hali ile mliona mzuri.
Who would like to employ a house help, please do a thorough background search. Get all the details, whether they have documentation, even if possible, take pictures of them with your babies. It's not an easy experience. It's a very bad experience.
All right, to our show of discussion tonight, let's introduce our guest to you tonight. Joining me in studio is Stephen Mwaniki. He is the sprints coach, Athletics Kenya. He's also sprints coach, Kenya Prison Service. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
And also with us tonight is Barnabas Korir, who's Executive Chairman, Athletics Kenya, Chairman, Athletics Kenya, Nairobi, and also a former athlete. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us on the last word. Before we get to hear your sentiments, of course, on a number of issues that we'll canvass tonight, let's have a look at just some of the exploits by sportsmen and women, and also some of the issues that arose before, during, as well of the Rio Olympics. So, on our Super Bowl that will be full screen shortly on your screens, you have what we managed to get this time around, which is the best performance. There you have 6 gold medals, 6 silver, and 1 bronze. Of course, the overall position for Kenya being 15th. But in as far as the African continent is concerned, Kenya being at the very top, on field and field events coming out second only to the US globally. Also, some of the issues we saw arose, if we could continue with those boards. We saw the sprints coach expelled from Rio coming back home, and this is, of course, because of that accreditation issue. He was not accredited, so using another athlete's accreditation to be able to access some of the spaces there in Rio. There were joyriders, issues of the same that was raised in the Kenyan delegation. Up to date, we have yet to see a complete list of the people and individuals, especially the sportsmen and women participating, who exactly represented Kenya there. Full list that is yet to be made public. So no officials present at refreshment points were also some of the issues that we heard athletes raise in as far as the manner in which these games were managed. Air tickets, you remember the case of Yego, he was stranded at JKIA. It took the intervention of team members to say they will stay put up until his matter was sorted so they would all live together. This Kenya team manager expelled from Rio, suspended by IAAF as well. And that in as far as that saga surrounding the matter of doping and warning. Team Kenya is what the allegation was in that report that was aired. Lack of uniforms not sufficient. Team members saying they were only given 1 uniform each as opposed to 8 which Nike had provided. And of course, there also are allegations that there was selling of those athletes' uniform as opposed to them being given to the athletes. So just some of the issues that we've seen arise. And as far as the Rio Games are concerned, remember for Nkanata as well, for him having a US passport, not a Kenyan one, which brought issues as well at the Rio Olympics with accreditation and being allowed to access the various fields and, of course, areas for the athletes. So to my guest this evening, let me begin with you. A former athlete, looking at what's happening, Mr. Korir, and also being part of the chair, being chair of the Athletics Kenya, and being able to see these athletes as they prepare throughout. Let's begin with the good. Not bad in terms of what we're able to manage, the best performance we've seen so far. What do you make of it?
I think the results that came out of Rio was an excellent performance, and this is one of the best outing that Kenya has had as far as Olympics is concerned.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good result, and Kenyans should be proud of that.
Should be proud. Yourself?
Yeah, the performance was excellent, and our athletes were up there, and we were able to prove to the world that we can also deliver at the moment whereby everybody was casting doubts on Kenyans, especially on doping issues.
Yeah.
But we went there and we proved to the world that we can run clean and the athletes did very well for the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also from a coaching perspective, talk to us about, because in the past Kenyans have been known to perform very well with long distance races, medium to long. But we've seen with the sprints, there's some effort that we are seeing that has not been in the past with Kenyan athletes. What is that? What would you attribute that to?
This is a resurgence of the Kenyan athletes, especially the sprinters. We've had concerted effort from the federation. They have been assisting the athletes, and we've seen several athletes going outside, especially the junior. The just example is this junior championship, which was held recently in Poland, whereby we had junior athletes going up to the finals. And this kind of build-up is whereby you have athletes graduating to the senior level. And that kind of development has really helped the athletes from Kenya, in Kenya. And that's why you saw that kind of performance with our sprinters.
Yeah.
Having two hurdlers into the finals. And that was excellent for us.
Yeah.
And also ending up getting a silver medal in 400 meters hurdles.
In 400 meters.
Yeah.
Korir, what do you attribute this, as we describe it, best outing we've had yet to? What is it you think got Kenya to perform so well?
What has happened is that, as the coach has indicated, that strategic plans that Athletes Kenya has had for some time now, to make sure that
You're taking all the credit. I'm just saying Athletics Kenya. What about the athletes?
Yes, you know, when we talk about Athletes Kenya, it's actually this integral part of the athletes also are integral part of Athletes Kenya, and the plans also that we have for them. And of course, the athletes are the ones who are doing.
What is it you've done then? What is it you'd say that's tangible?
The thing that is very tangible is that if you see the organization of the events that take place, you know, for an athlete to develop, you have to have events that they participate in locally, and also you organize events for them also outside the country so that they can prove themselves there. They compete, and also they reach the standards that are acceptable internationally. So those are the issues. As the coach has said, if you look at the youth last year when we went to Cali, we were number 2 worldwide as far as the youth champions was concerned. This year we went to Poland, Pitkus, under 20. We did also very well. We came second to United States. So this is the effort that we have made. We have also an agreement with the Ministry of Education as far as the youth are concerned. We develop an agreement with them to develop the youth, because most of the young athletes also come from the schools.
Yeah.
So those are the issues that we have done. And also we have what we call the World Athletics Day, and we have that understanding with the coaches from the schools, coaches from AK, and they interact together to develop these athletes. Those are the efforts that we have done so far.
All right, so in our Twitter poll question, we're asking our viewers tonight whether they think the National Olympic Committee of Kenya should be disbanded owing to some of the issues we saw rise around the management of this Olympics. Do you agree that that committee should be disbanded?
That is an issue that will leave to the government and also to the stakeholders.
But the government does not have power to disband. That's what the CS said. He absolved himself of any blame, saying that that's an independent organization. There's nothing he can do unless he's given more powers.
No, the government has influence. And the government, you saw the other day when Kenya was almost being excluded from the Olympics because of the doping issue. And the government came in. And
that's a legislative element for which, yes, they are involved.
Yeah, so the government can also play a part in this issue that is in the public domain.
What's your personal opinion? Do you think NOC did the best job in this particular case?
No, I don't think.
Where did they fail?
On various issues, especially on the way they handled the athletes, and also the what we have had in Rio, what has happened there. Having a case at hand is a coach, having the coach staying outside the village, and it's very important for the coach to be with the athlete until the athlete has gone for the competition. So that kind of scenario is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these career issues that we are seeing rising from whether it's accreditation, accommodation issues, travel arrangements and all, it's not the first time. This is not a matter that, you know, is unprecedented. It's in, year out, and as far as the games are concerned, we keep having the same issues. So what's going on?
I think I would put a correction on that one, because when you look at the World Championship last year in Beijing, where we were number one in the world, the people who were organizing that event was Athletics Kenya. When you look at the World Junior Championship 2014, World Under 18, World Under 20, we never had any problems at all. When we go back now to the Olympics, from 2008 to 2012, we have so many problems. And the people who are organizing those events are National Olympic Committee. It has nothing to do with us. The moment we hand over the team...
Yeah, but so what is wrong with the National Olympic Committee?
The problem now, I don't want to talk on their behalf, but what they should have done...
What you see as the issues? You're not talking on their behalf.
The issues now is that they should actually be the ones to organize practically everything, and also to be inclusive, all inclusive. When you select a team and you are given a team, and you are not including the people who gave you the team, the people who actually understands what it's all about. That's where the problem comes.
What are you talking about exactly?
I'm talking about now interacting between the National Olympic Committee, Athletics Kenya, and maybe even rugby, the teams. The people who own those teams should be the ones who are organizing and be part of the National Olympic Committee.
But don't you have representation in the committee?
We don't have the representation. The moment we finish, we had the local organizing committee preparing for the national trials to select a team. Immediately after we select the team is handed over to National Olympic Committee. The moment we have handed over that one now, the responsibility falls under that. But we don't have any representation in the National Olympic Committee.
But is it because in terms of the structure, you don't have representation because you've not been able to marshal the numbers? Because it's a voting process, isn't it? Don't the people have to sort of like for quote-unquote campaign, bring in the numbers so that you get the votes? How does it work? Break it down for...
The structure is totally different from the way elections is done.
Yes.
It is not a normal election that we do like when you go to an MB. This one is you follow through the delegate system. And the delegate system requires that you appoint every representative from all the federations. If you have 30 people now doing the election, that's a problem, because at the end of the day, you find that the election process is skewed towards a certain group. So the problem comes all the way now. We have to see where the constitution comes from. Is it the IOC that actually to strike it down all the way to the federations, to national Olympic committees of the nation, so that the process of election is done in such a way that it is actually also and representative of the other organizations. So that's where the problem comes.
So you think there should be a change in law?
The problem is that the change in law does not arise because of the government or any legislative agenda in the country. It comes from IOC itself. So we have to see now the structures, how does IOC function? And those systems come down all the way to the federation. It's like also in FIFA. When there's a problem with the football and then the government wants to take any action, they are normally not allowed to do that. So that is the same thing with the IOC. Now the question is that, does the government have the powers, as the CS has said, to actually suspend or disband? No. The question is, we have to look at the Constitution. Does it allow the CS? When I saw the Sports Act, there is a section that actually allows the minister to even suspend the federations. But I really don't know whether that applies to the IOC.
So yeah, because that's an international body, yes. And the Olympic Committee then of Kenya falling under that. It's the same way with FKF. So it would be, wouldn't it bring more issues to have the minister, and that's the executive arm, interfere or, acting in places where there seem to be acting independently. But let's talk about some of the issues that were raised. Because in as far as joyriders are concerned, are you disappointed that we've not yet so far known who exactly was in Rio representing Kenya?
Yeah, but what I would say is that we need the minister to ask for the list. We need to know who traveled to Rio, and so that we'll be able to know who was a joyrider and who went there for the particular job that they were given. For example, we know the coaches who traveled to Rio country. A very good example is Sebastian Coe, who was a former athlete and a world champion, an Olympic champion, and he is now the president of the IAAF. And you saw he himself during the Olympics in Rio. IAAF refused the athletes from Russia to participate simply because of the doping issues. And that came none other than from a former athlete.
I
Sebastian
don't think it's
Coe.
in dispute that some former athletes would, as he was saying, would be useful in such a setup of leadership. The issue is what you said earlier, that only former athletes should manage. I
Not
mean, you
only.
cannot just have former athletes.
No, no,
That
no.
would just be...
It's like a media like this one, KTN.
Yeah.
We have newcasters, we have managers who are playing other roles, but if you put all the roles together, you have one of the top media house in the country. So I'm not saying we only have athletes. We can also have other managers coming
Okay.
in with managerial skills.
Managerial skills. Let's
Yeah.
go back to that issue of federations. What's going on? You're with AK, and you're talking about the fact there's an issue even as far as getting to the committee and positions there. Isn't it that the smaller, if you like, sporting events that maybe we're not known for, like judo, that had its own issues with representation, have managed to find a way in which to gain strength in whatever the structure is with getting the members, as opposed to you as Athletics Kenya, who are seen as the bigger entities, being made to sit in the back seats when the others take the front row.
Yes, I agree with you also, because now it is totally unfortunate that the people actually who are messing up this have also messed up their own federations. If you look at the people now who are being blamed for messing up the Rio Games, is that if you go back to their federations, they are non-existent. They are not functional. But when you come now, the people who are producing, like athletics, like football, rugby, they are nowhere being represented by NOC. Those are now the skewed issues I was talking about that we need to address, so that the federations that produce, the bigger federations, have a bigger say in the running of the National Olympic Committee. If you continue like that, because now the guys who are doing that have no interest. They don't even know how the athletes are training and how they are actually being managed. And yet you give them a very big job to do. What do we expect from them? And yet
Yeah.
they don't even manage their own.
So do you agree then with the CS? Because he said he needs more power to be able to have a better impact, to be able to have meaningful, participation and assistance to the athletes and other sportsmen and women, as opposed to also being a victim, as he did suggest, of the cartel. So should we have a relook at our law?
I don't know whether now the issue of looking at the law will come into effect, because we have to look at also, as I said before, the IOC itself. What are rules and regulations that govern IOC? Because it trickles down to our federations now. We have a Sports Act that was been set up and passed by Parliament.
Yeah.
And that addresses most of the problems that we are facing now. Even in our federation, the CS has a right, even as a power, to actually, by himself, dissolve the body. But I don't know whether that powers can apply to National Olympic Committee, whether the CS has a right. But if it is so, then I can say categorically that when I read the Sports Act, then he has the powers to dissolve the bodies.
He would have if he did have the powers. But let's talk a little bit about the Sports Act, because I had a look at that earlier. And one of the issues that's interesting, because many Kenyans have not heard about this before, is what is described as Sports Kenya, and the functions of the same, and that there is a board as well in place, so the issues that they can be able to handle. Why is it that we don't appear to get it right at the policy and framework level? Is that from where you see one of the issues that is getting us to be able to witness what we're seeing even at the federation level?
Yeah, with the policy formulation, we need to bring the stakeholders together and come up with a rule or with a law whereby we can govern our federations, because some federations are being managed by people who are doing it's like their own business.
Yeah.
I wish to concur with the chairman, because already some of those people have been named in this debacle in Rio. Their federations are not functioning. They are just there as leaders at NOC, but you look at the federation that they are managing, it's not there.
Yeah.
So we need to come in and say that those people who are running the National Olympic Committee have also been able to be accounted for as good managers from their own federation.
Yeah.
But not guys who were formerly holding offices in their federation. They were kicked out, but they are still at at the National Olympic Committee. That is what is happening.
That is what is happening.
Yeah.
As we bring this to a close, I want to hear from you in as far as what measures you hope will be seen to be taken against some of these officials, like the team manager for the athletics team, you know, with all that doping being caught on tape, of course, allegations rising against him. He was sent back home. And we've seen some that are allegedly repeat offenders, even cited in reports in the past. Put a report, London Olympics as well, and as far as how they handle the management of the team, that we never really quite see the whip being cracked. We will get to 4 years from now, Japan, and perhaps sit down and have another conversation like this one about issues that were not handled from Brazil. So what is it from where you sit you hope to see done immediately?
What I see, and I would like to comment on that, is that we have a major problem as a country itself. Because there are so many policies, we have laws and regulations that has been set up, has been put for regulation. But the problem is implementation. There's never been any right implementation for this. When the investigation is done, a report is brought to be effected, nothing happens. So it is actually, as a country itself, not only about athletics, it has to go to other bodies also that, as a country itself, we have to look at ourselves so that we can not only dwell on athletics, because the problem is that we have those sports bodies and there's nothing happens. So we don't have to politicize everything in this country. We have to effect them, implement whatever policy has been set.
So
if we
need
do that,
change across the board.
we need change across the board.
Even at AK.
Everywhere. We need to change across the board.
Okay.
Yes.
Final thoughts, sir, please.
Yeah, the issues that have come up, we need to look at them critically, and we need people with sober mind so that we might come up with something that will help this country to move to the next level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being with us. And we definitely hope that things will change, because seeing our sportsmen and women, you know, stage such excellent, sterling performances, and then have that watered down by this kind of issues, definitely disappointing. But in our Twitter poll question, to give you the results tonight, we're asking you, should the Kipchoge Keino-led National Olympics Committee of Kenya be disbanded after the mishaps that were witnessed in Rio? And are standing 88% of you saying yes, it should be, and 12% saying no. Well, we'll watch and see how events unfold. With us tonight was Stephen Mwaniki, who is the sprints coach, Kenya Prison Service, as well as the coach athletics, Kenya sprints coach, that is. And also with us, Barnabas Korir, executive chairman, Athletics Kenya. He's also chairman, Athletics Kenya Nairobi, and a former athlete. Maybe you should make a comeback. You still have it in you?
I have gained some weight, so
You
it will take time.
You could lose it.
Yeah, it is not easy to run, by the
I
way.
could be your coach.
That'd be fine.
We can consider that?
Yeah, we can consider.
All right. On behalf of everyone that made the show possible, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night, and God bless you.